Okay, so the frequent visitor to Epstein Island, Howard Lutnick, was called in to testify about the economic growth in the United States, and the topic of Canada actually came up. And the way he's actually dodging the question and blaming the reaction and not the cause, it actually made me feel like punching my monitor. So we're going to go through the testimony and see what kind of BS comes out of his mouth. But we're related to Lutnick. The CUSMA negotiations are coming up. And apparently, before we can even speak, the United States wants concessions. Mainly wine, beer, and spirits put back on the shelves. So we'll go through this report in this video. Also, there's been another close call, this time at JFK. I feel like I'm becoming a broken record on this because it was only a couple days ago when two Southwest planes almost collided mid-air and they were only like 500 feet apart. But this time it was another Air Canada Jazz flight. So we're going to talk about this as well in this video. So let's get started with the Epstein Island frequent visitor Howard Lutnick's testimony.
Okay. Last year, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the United States saw a 5.5% decline in international visitors. We were the only major economy to see any decline. In my home state of New Hampshire, tourism is the second largest industry both by revenue and it supports 70,000 jobs. Canada has long been our largest share of foreign visitors, but last year we saw a 30% drop in Canadian tourism.
And I just want to add that it's continuing to drop in 2026. And to my own surprise, I'll admit I thought it was going to bottom out this year. But that's definitely not the case. Because what I'm showing you on the screen right now is the numbers from March 2026, which was down 22% from last year, and down 55% from March 2024. These numbers are only for British Columbia land crossings. But I have a feeling the rest of the country is going to catch up as well, especially when we're hearing this kind of BS coming out of Lutnick's mouth. I'm not going to lie, I love this screenshot, because British Columbia is leading the way when it comes to the cross-border numbers. So I guess you can say British Columbia is in first, unlike our hockey team, dead last.
Largely due to the loss of trust and goodwill because of this administration's rhetoric around Canada. Secretary Lutnick, last week, you said about Canada's economic strategy, and I quote, "They suck." I believe your spokesperson then said this was about Canada's economy leeching off of the U.S. How does insulting our closest ally and neighbor help the businesses in my state of New Hampshire and states all across this country who are hurting because of the loss of Canadian business and tourism?
Canada's economy leans on the incredible $30 trillion economy of America. But
there's no doubt about that, Mr. Secretary.
There's no doubt about that. That doesn't sit right with me.
But insulting our closest ally and neighbor who provides a lot of business, we have a lot of businesses in New Hampshire, small businesses who work on both sides of the border. We have all those Canadian visitors who are not coming because of your comments and comments by the administration. How does that help our economy?
Now, Senator Jean Shaheen, or however you pronounce it, she's a Democrat from New Hampshire. And while it may seem that she's fired up because of the insults from the US administration, she's fired up because it's hurting their economy, not because of the insults actually to Canada. We have to remember anything that comes in the US government, even the Democrats, is going to be about themselves, their own economy.
it is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America.
Did you guys hear that? She agreed with Lutnick that it is insulting to the United States that we have the liquor off the shelves. It's very clear that both people talking right now are blaming the liquor on us, when in fact Canada is just reacting to the cause. And the cause? This guy right here, as well as his supreme overlord. I can't remember where I read it. Might have been on Reddit somewhere, or Discord, or somewhere, or in a comment somewhere. But someone was saying that this whole situation is like a bully punching you, non-stop. And then once you punch back, they focus on that one punch back and completely forgetting about all the punches that you've been taking before. Basically playing the victim. It happens with this guy. It happens with that Pete Hoekstra idiot. And every single person in the US administration. But we've come to expect it from every single Republican. It's not a surprise to us anymore. But to hear this woman agree that it is insulting, that we pulled their liquor off the shelves. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that this came from a Democrat. In case you missed it, let me play it again.
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America.
So y'all heard it. She agreed with Lutnick, which tells me that she fully doesn't understand why we pulled the liquor off the shelves. So the Democratic senator from New Hampshire, you can go screw yourself.
That they won't
Absolutely.
even put.
And my husband has an interest in a company that has American spirits. And they won't do it because of the insults from this president and comments like yours. So I want to go on to another question.
But can I have just one small comment, which is dairy is treated so badly, and your state cares about dairy, and we are trying desperately to get them to live to the deal that they have on USMCA and stop treating our dairy farmers so poorly, and your state cares about that, and we are fighting for that.
We do, but we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business.
And to be honest, I find it insulting that you agreed with Lutnick. And whatever stake that your husband has in some liquor company, I hope it goes bankrupt. I mean, to be honest, I'm actually surprised that she mentioned that her husband has a stake in it. And I guess that's why she finds it insulting that we pulled the liquor. But I do give her a little bit of credit, saying that it's not good to insult your neighbors. But it's not hard to read between the lines for her motivation. So for this senator, I do not trust her one bit. Now, unfortunately, in the next few months, we're going to be hearing from Lutnick quite a bit more, because the CUSMA negotiations are coming up. And apparently the United States wants concessions before they even start negotiating. Let's take a look.
The Prime Minister facing a list of concessions from Donald Trump's team. Sources tell Radio Canada it's the cost to enter formal talks about North America's free trade deal.
It's not a case of the United States dictates the terms. We have the negotiation. We can come to a mutually successful outcome.
CUSMA is up for review in July. Mexico has a date to sit down with the U.S., but Canada does not.
If we can, get some changes in Canadian trade practices, it's going to help me get over the political hump that we face here in the United States.
Notice how the blame is on Canada again. It's on us, right? The reaction, not the cause. I said in my previous videos that I don't think CUSMA is going to happen. I mean, you can't really negotiate with bullies. I mean, they're always going to push as far as they can. And the second that you push back, they call you unfair. That's exactly what's happening right now. It's gaslighting at like an extreme level.
So I think there are things that can be done.
The U.S. made public what Canada could do. A Canadian official says a portion of that list is what U.S. officials are pushing behind closed doors. One big one, putting American alcohol back on Canadian shelves.
We're kind of at the end of our rope in just asking for them to do this.
Last year, most provinces and territories stripped American booze from stores, an act of retaliation against Trump's tariffs and his threats.
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
I'm sorry, folks, I don't trust President Trump.
Ontario's premier says he's not backing down unless Trump drops his tariffs and the free trade deal is done.
You never roll over to a bully. You confront him head on. One of our tools is alcohol.
I kind of find that ironic coming from Doug Ford. I mean, he is kind of being a bully when it comes to the automotive industry. Sticking up for the US automakers and not even allowing, other companies to come in. Anyways, that's for a different video. But I do agree with him that it is a tool that we have right now. And I do hope that our Canadian government does not cave to the request from the United States.
Canada's minister in charge of trade talks says he told U.S. officials what to do if they want provinces to budge.
You have to give them some relief or some path to a better outcome on softwood lumber in the case of British Columbia, on steel and automobiles in the case of Ontario.
Dominic LeBlanc says the government isn't going to make a series of concessions that aren't in the interest of Canada just to get to the table and receive a whole new list of things the Americans want. He also says that Canada told the U.S. it won't renegotiate dairy quotas or French language requirements on products in Quebec and wants to preserve CUSMA.
So, Ashley, what if this isn't sorted out before July 1st when the free trade deal is up for review?
Well, Erica, Donald Trump's trade representative says that he doesn't think the U.S. is in a position to rubber stamp CUSMA. So if there isn't an agreement by all three countries on that date, the free trade deal will remain in effect for a decade with annual reviews until they reach an agreement. LeBlanc says that means that nothing will change, including all the economic uncertainty.
So I guess it just converts over to like a month-to-month contract, and I guess everything is status quo. But my question is that even if there is a new deal signed, does anybody actually trust that the United States is going to honor it? Because I don't trust them one bit. Now, I'm not an economics or trade person, and I really don't know what the consequences are going to be if no deal is signed. But I'll probably be waiting for Bill Kelly from the Bill Kelly podcast to push out a video on this topic. If you're not subscribed to Bill's channel, and you do want to hear more about Canadian politics, trade, and economics, I highly recommend that you head over to the Bill Kelly podcast and subscribe to his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can just click on it and subscribe to his channel. And just a heads up, I spoke with his producer Madeline, and we might do another call together maybe in sometime in May. So I'll keep everybody posted if I do end up jumping on another call with Bill Kelly. Now moving on to the last topic, there was another close call, this time with an American Airlines flight as well as an Air Canada Jazz flight. And this is only a couple days after two Southwest planes almost had a direct collision, and they were only like 500 feet away from each other. I don't know about you, but this feels like deja vu. Because 2 days ago I did this report on Southwest, and it was the same news anchor, and he's even wearing the same suit and tie. I actually had to do a double take on this report because I couldn't figure out if I actually did this one already. But no, it's a new report. So if anybody actually thinks that these close calls are normal, it's not. Anyways, let's check out this report. Hopefully this is the last one I do in a while. I mean, at least try to get like a week without another collision.
JFK Airport, news of yet another alarming close call, two passenger planes, and you're going to hear air traffic control tonight telling one of those planes you're in the flight path of the other, and what both pilots suddenly have to do. Gio Benitez covers aviation.
Tonight, the FAA is now investigating why a regional American Airlines passenger jet deviated off course and directly into the path of a regional Air Canada plane coming in for landing at New York's JFK Airport.
Brickyard 44, you're flying through the approach course runway 31 left. Correct immediately. You have traffic immediate vicinity of your 3 o'clock high, 2,000 feet.
You can
See, that's why I'm not a pilot. I would have to listen to that like 3 times in order to understand it. But you can hear the panic in his voice. But this time around, you're going to find out it's not an air traffic controller error. It looks like the error came from the American Airlines plane.
hear the anti-collision alarms blaring in the cockpit, pilots of both planes executing evasive maneuvers.
The traffic off your left is overshooting the parallel.
TCAS, all right.
Yeah, that guy overshot the final Jazz 554.
According to officials, the American Airlines crew did not stay on their correct route, that action putting them too close to that Air Canada jet cleared to land on a parallel runway, both jets forced to abort their landing. The two planes on a collision course coming just over half a mile from each other.
So this close call was about half a mile from a tragedy, and the one a couple days ago, about 500 feet. How many more close calls are we going to get before the FAA actually kind of like reviews everything? Personally, I wouldn't have any confidence getting on a plane in the United States right now. And if you look at this map, if the two planes actually did collide, it's not just going to be lost lives on the plane, but potential lives lost on the ground in residential areas.
There were alarms both in the control tower and in the aircraft themselves, telling the airplanes where to move, how to separate to make sure that the collision didn't occur.
The incident in one of the busiest flying corridors comes less than 48 hours after pilots on two Southwest planes in Nashville, both packed with passengers, were also on a direct collision course. The jets narrowly missing each other, separated by roughly 500 feet.
See what I mean? These close calls are happening over residential areas. Kind of reminds me of that scene from Breaking Bad.
Passing right on top of one another. And David, tonight a central question here. Why did that American Airlines crew apparently deviate off course? That will be a key part of this investigation.
I don't know, I've lost count of how many investigations there are. I mean, there's been a lot that has happened since the Air Canada Jazz tragedy. I just haven't reported it. But my message is going to be the same. Try to avoid the United States if you can, and don't do any stopovers or layovers in the US either. I just hope I don't have to review another one of these reports in the next 48 hours. Because I'll be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of seeing this news anchor. To close off this video, I would like to thank Sean for posting this on the Guard the Leaf Hay Cafe page. And he took this photo near Gravenhurst, Ontario. I believe he mentioned that he took this photo in early April, so I'm not too sure if all the snow and ice have melted yet. But thanks Sean for sharing this photo with the community. Now unfortunately, the co-host never stepped into the room this video. I don't know why, the door's wide open. But you'll have to wait for her the next time I guess. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next one.